Well, good evening. It's Josh here from racingtoprofit.co.uk. I hope you've had an enjoyable Saturday. I'm here. What's the time? 5:15. Having got back from Aintree a short while ago, I thought I would record a quick video while a few things are still at the front of my mind, and hopefully you find some of it of interest. I've got my many clouds scarf on, not because I can't afford the heating, albeit if my tipping continues as it has been, the scarf may be staying put for a bit longer. Let's start with the positives, of which there were not many on another fairly poor day. Before I run through a quick kind of review and some thoughts from Aintree. Where are we going to start? Well, the jumps angle, some of those did alright. From those that qualified, Lamb Cod continued the good form of the Johnson-Hobbs trainer-jockey combo on Saturdays in handicap chases. He did that fairly well. Another Pam Sly horse to outrun their odds, third at 16 to 1, I think. Not much to shout home about for the portfolio. December trainers, Cafe Blanco ran well in third. Again, the others were a bit naff. On to the Aintree notes. Well, the day started well with Evening Hush making all and winning fairly comfortably at a nice, well, kind of decent in the end, I suppose, 7 to 2. Paul Maloney's like the Spencer, the Jamie Spencer of the jumps world. You know, he normally holds horses up out the back, but he's very good from the front. And you kind of, I think, know he might be on a good one when he goes from the front. He dictated this clearly on the best horse and did that well. Oh, the 12:30 was a kind of set the tone for the rest of the day. From the good start, it was kind of downhill, plummeting. The Fresh Prince was travelling very well, maybe a bit too well. Monbeg River, who I ended up backing quite a nice bet at 8 to 1, was tanking and swinging into contention here when the Fresh Prince came down, brought Monbeg River down, the Skelton horse who was favourite and was creeping into it as well, and brought another one down as well. Sanunos ran no sort of race. So that was that really. That was a kind of quite depressing. Yeah, Monbeg River was going to win that. I've convinced myself, and yes, that's my pocket talking. A pocket which is rather lighter than it was at times. What else? Banditry, well, he was no good. Bit keen, I didn't go much for pace, but I don't think he was winning anyway. I'll get on to the 135 in a minute. Hunter's Hoof, I've put unplaced there, that's incorrect. He came second, ran alright. Byron Flyer, not much. The 240, I backed Valadom and Troika Steps, and knew that that money was down the drain. Well, after two fences really. Troika Steps was nowhere near the front and didn't seem to be enjoying himself. Valadom was clear. You know, some of these horses take to these fences or they don't. And he didn't take to these fences at all, and that was the end of that. He clouted the third, was it, in front of the stands, I forget. Benny's Mist was tailed off. As to me, the removal of the hood seemed to do the trick. I had a small saver on at sixes, but not as much as you would like when they win like that, and that just about covered the bets on the others. Did that well, yeah, the removal of the hood. Would bring up a kind of big race double for Nichols across the card, as his old rogue Rocky Creek would do the business at Sandown. If the likes of Jack Sherwood and Harry Cobden continue to ride as they are, Sam Twist and Davis might struggle to get on some decent horses, I think, and young Bowen again on As to Me on this one. So that was kind of not a great race either. When you back horses and you kind of know you're not going to win from pretty early on, or be in contention pretty early on, it's quite depressing. And that's happened plenty. What other positives am I going to draw on before I drag myself over the hot coals of the Beecher Chase and the race at Sandown. Well, I got to meet two blog readers. Graham Ashford, who reads every day in for me, so thank you for that. That was a pleasure to have a chat. And a chap called Russ, who I believe commented as well, actually, underneath today's post. Bumped into him as well and had a good chat. So it's always good to meet you loyal readers, and I obviously always thank you for reading the blog, and I hope it adds something of value or entertainment or something interesting to read as part of your well, to add to your experience of racing. The final positive I should mention is Dr. Nick Hardman's big race tips. I decided, and hopefully you can see this in front of you, I highlighted the 3:15 Aintree in 7th Sky, ran a decent race in 4th. I'm not sure if there are many other winners on the other races, but the one I want to focus on, as you can see there, is the Beecher Chase. I should have just highlighted that really and not bothered tipping in it myself. Yeah, it was covered in the November Insiders report. That's for the Betting Insiders Club, so you can kind of either get the festival tips from Dr. Nick Hardman, which are just the big races, the big race days, or you can get the tips as part of the kind of their members club package, which is the one that I write for, their kind of monthly Insiders report. I was going to look around, hold on. They do a nice little printed book. Every month you get all sorts in. That's one of my articles, I think, with various different trainer stats and you name it anyway. Lots of different authors, sports, covers football, tennis, you name it. Quite a good report. Anyway, so yeah, you can see the three horses his tip there. Alvarado each way, Highland Lodge each way, who ran better than I thought he might and clearly didn't need the run, although if they had got a run into him, who knows. But no, he was fit there, and the winner, there we go, at 11 to 1. So I did say he was quite a good big race tipster, and he's kind of proving it again, or did prove it again today. So there's a handful of you that have kind of joined over recent weeks, and hopefully you've been following those tips to success. Nice little write-up and job done again from him. So that's a good positive, and now we go swiftly into the negatives, or kind of things to note. I was just going to whiz through the card really, while things are at the top of my mind. So yeah, not much to say about this. Evening Hush did that very well. Did get an easy lead. We'll see how much the form stands up. It's only a juvenile hurdle, but did it very, very easily. There's questions over quite a few of the others, I thought. The John Joe horse didn't look fit to me. Pleasure Dome looked like it had a belly, so that run can be marked up, and you would expect Pleasure Dome to come on from that, I should think. Yeah, this race, oh god, carnage. Call Me Vic was a fortuitous winner, I think, in the end. He was starting to go backwards, or let's have a look. Yeah, Monbeg River, well, the Fresh Prince had moved up and passed. Monbeg River was swinging away and was just coming to join the Fresh Prince, I think, and the Skelton horse was kind of travelling quite okay behind those as well. Then the carnage happened. Down came Fresh Prince and brought down Monbeg and Old Grange Wood. And yeah, that was that. That was the start of what would be a few unhappy races. This one was a Charlemagne got to the front fairly easy again. That was quite good. They dawdled here. They really didn't go much of a pace. I think that slow pace may have affected Minotaur's jumping, which was shoddy. It may have been something to do with the pace they go, or the fact that he's just inexperienced. But the Whittington horse quickened up well from the front. Right, I mean, it's quite... Oh, God, yeah, this was fun. I clearly need to get better. I've been on a shocking run of form with races that I thought I was quite good at. 3 mile plus handicap graded chases. Recent evidence would suggest that there is much work to do on that front, and that I'm probably not as good as I thought I was. Far too many horses I'm backing which aren't kind of giving a run for their money. I mean, these are, you know, they're tough 20 plus runner handicaps, so I'm not going to beat myself up too much. V Leon Rouge fell down on the age and a couple of inexperienced stats. Given how much I predicted that these stats might end up falling, or the fact there were some nice 7-year-olds in the race, kind of I suppose I should have looked at View Leon Rouge closer. What did he have in advantage that others didn't have? Well, one thing I suppose stands out, and that's his experience of the fences, which I could have put more value on. He did run very well in the Grand National up to a certain point before his stamina ebbed away. He also came a decent enough 6th in the National Hunt Chase from the festival, and you only have to look at the horses there. Manila Rocco, Native River, Vicente went on to win the Scottish National after this, I believe, and you know, he's there in 6th. So there's some strength to the form of that race. He'd been dropped a few pounds. You only have to look at his profile. I mean, it all makes sense after the race, I suppose. His record fresh, and this is before today. 3 races after a break, two from three places, and it was the Master Pipe. He was coming after a break. Clearly, had been targeted at the race. Again, I suppose I was blinkered by the stats and the shortlist, which did highlight from the short list of Highland Lodge, who I didn't think or questioned the fitness. Watching that with mixed emotions, I was quite pleased he got nabbed, because that would have been horrendous to watch him win, if I'm being honest. Leaving any 20 to 1 shot when you've had a shortlist, made a shortlist of 4 or 5, is never pleasant. The last Samurai we know ran well in the National, so he had experience of the fences. Uccello Conti had experience of the fences, he ran in the National as well. One for Arthur didn't, so that can be marked up as a very good run, and he's one to watch. I wonder if we will see him over, well, given he's, you know, raced quite well here and clearly likes the fences, you would like to think he may show up in future years over these fences, maybe this race next year. I'm not sure if dropping him back to something like the some of the other races at the Grand National meeting, we'll see. Portrait King, who was a tip with the top 5 places, ran well into 6th. Shame it wasn't 5th, but he did quite well there. What was the other thing I wanted to highlight? So, you know, there were quite a few inexperienced 7-year-olds who just didn't take to the fences, but then they didn't have experience of them. Alvarado fell at the 2nd, so that was disappointing. He was the place banker. He was going to jump round. Clearly didn't. So that was good fun. Thankfully he got up safe and sound, which is the main thing. So View Leon Rouge, yeah, there was the age stat. There were a few more, well, combined with the experience stats of the number of chase runs it had and chase starts. But I suppose the form of the Grand National run and that run at Cheltenham, and the fact it dropped 4 pounds running after a break, trained by Pipe, all of those things came together, and I suppose it is easy to say that after they've won, but I should have put more thought process into that, and maybe that's an indication of how kind of rusty I am, or what work and how much I need to do to improve on these race types, because it really hasn't been good enough. I meant to enjoy the puzzle and solving the puzzle, and we're not solving many of those so far, so that's not very good. What else did we want to say about this race? Oh yes, something to note for the future, the pace I clearly got horrendously wrong as well. There were on paper 10 or 12 that wanted to lead. As it turned out, Highland Lodge and Beeves, who ran very well over these fences actually, before the kind of lack of class told in the end, I think. And maybe the lack of run. So Beeves is one to note because he front ran and he enjoyed the fences and jumped really well. So that's one to note for the future, being 9. You know, he might have something over some kind of race over these fences in the future. But Highland Lodge and Beeves were able to dictate from the front and go kind of their own pace. So I suppose the other thing to take away from this race, which I kind of thought about before when I was thinking about it, because of the fences and jockeys want to make sure the horses jumped them, they're only going to go a certain speed, I think. There were quite a few pace pushers who hadn't experience of the fences, and those jockeys were happy just to sit off and let their horses get into a rhythm. So that is something to note for the future as well as, you know, looking beyond, if a horse has experience of the fences and they've run well here before, that should probably be a bigger factor than any other historical stats. But those stats did find the winner at 33 to 1 the last 2 years. They nearly found the winner, the shortlist this year, by a shoulder at 20 to 1, so it's not all bad, but clearly there's some more thinking to do on that front. What else before I finish off? To compound the misery, the London National, Connors Toy came 4th, did he 5th? I don't know, but he didn't win, and didn't really have much to cheer over the last few. Morny Wing probably was a decent bet at 20 to 1. Arguably 20 is a bit too big. I thought it was a bit too big, but didn't put my money where my mouth was at an each way price. He was backed into 12 and did run a decent race in 3rd. The Saver horse doing fine, ran well, went down by a neck, and good old Rocky Creek, Paul Nicholls on a Saturday, doing it again in a big chase. So what did I want to do now? Not much to say about that race, just to finish off. Many Clouds, I wasn't 100% sure how fit he looked before the race. I mean, he didn't look fat, and, you know, as highlighted in the notes, he did as what I thought he might, which is make all, and he was a deserved winner. Thankfully Manila Rocco got up. I'm not sure what happened before the final fence, whether he just cut out, because the Geraghty started to, well, not pull back, the horse really slowed into the final fence, and his fall didn't make a difference. I think he badly winded himself. Thankfully he got up, but all credit to Many Clouds. Not many Grand National winners, very few win races after they've won a Grand National, so for him to do what he's doing there on the first start of the season, Sherwoods have generally been needing them this year, but all credit to the horse, all credit to Connections. It was pretty nice to watch him romp home. And then the Grand Sefton, as to May, the Hood kind of coming off work. He does have a touch of class. He's clearly a bit of a character, but did that well. Seafood clearly took to the fences as well and jumped them a bit better than I thought he might. Henryville, you know, coming from really far back is really hard over these fences. As the May was always prominent. Seventh Sky was always prominent. You know, Henryville to come from that far back did well, I suppose, so that can probably be marked up in another one who likes these fences. And there are, you know, a few races a year over them. Valadom definitely didn't like the fences, hated every moment and smacked the 3rd, but it didn't look comfortable at the previous 2 before that, and then after that, that just knocked his confidence. Troika Steps was always in rear, which I found surprising given his proven stamina. So that's that really. Witness and Court went from the front and jumped quite well on the whole before unseating, so we know when going over these fences he might try and make all, so that's an interesting pace angle for the future. So that's it for today. I think that's all I want to highlight from there. There's a few there to take away. Many more lessons to learn, much more improvement to do. I think I need to take myself off to pasture and put myself to grass for a little while I try and work out how to solve a puzzle of a 3 mile plus handicap chase again. But as always in this game, we have tomorrow and the Borders National, which I will have a look at. The kind of couple that stand out, I think, well, it looks a decent race actually. I need to have a ponder. Cultram Abbey ran well the last day. Ran as if a kind of step up to this trip would suit, but you're entering unknown territory. This is 32 furlongs, another 6 furlongs than he's kind of ever raced over before. He ran the last day as if the step up would help, but you never know until they do it. Royal Knight, if I just click on the cards within GG's Gold here, Royal Knight, coincidentally, if you want to try GG's Gold, it's quite a good time to do so. To the right hand side of this video you'll see the banner. You can try for 30 days for just £1 and get access to all these different tools and gadgets and different things. Using it and diving in yourself is a best way to sell it to yourself, and it could be the best £1 you've ever spent if you'd like, finding your own horses, using different stats and all sorts. Yeah, Royal Knight still £4 low above his last mark, but he is the proven horse. Has he won this race before? Probably has, hasn't he? He's been there and done it, stays all day. It's time for a pint also. Looks like it's got proven stamina. The rest are Harry the Viking has tried. I mean, he ran well the last day as well at Carlisle actually. After a break, he's now £9 below and has a handy claim from the jockey as well. So that's an interesting one. But it's Harry the Viking, and I've sworn I'd never back him again because he's just a very slow plodder. But that's the kind of thing that might win this race if a lot of these fall into a stamina hole. So yeah, that is something I will look at. I'll look at Sunday morning. I am off out this evening, but we'll try and not drink and drown my sorrows too much after a day that could have been better. And yeah, I'll come back in the morning and get something posted by 11, and hopefully I can do and find a couple of horses in here that might give me a run for my money. But yeah, I'll be back with that Sunday morning. You might be watching this Sunday morning. And I think I will leave that there. I'm sure I've gone on for far too long, and you've probably decided to switch off already. But if not, thanks for watching. I hope you've taken something out of there, a few horses to note, a few things to think about moving forward. You now know who to back in big races, big race tips, Dr. Nick Hardman. And you now know probably to start treating some of mine with caution if you haven't done already. Long gone are the glory days of last January to April. They seem a very, very long time ago, and I need to pull my finger out and have a long, hard think to try and get back to those heady heights. But until I do that, I will keep ploughing on. We've got this race to look at tomorrow to try and lift my own mood, and if I sound a bit down and miserable, it's because I probably am a little bit. So yeah, I will leave that there. If you're watching this Saturday evening, enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm sure should have better things to do, so I don't know why you're watching this on a Saturday evening. But if you find time on Sunday or early next week, I hope you've enjoyed the watch. I hope you've got a few things from it, and until the next time, this is Josh saying bye for now.